In unit number 4, we have tools and techniques of guidance and counseling. In this section, we will study about that which tools and techniques can be applied to guide our students in a classroom or in a school, or which techniques and tools we can use to give counseling to our students. So the very first topic 4.1, steps and procedure of counseling, which steps are followed, how counseling is provided, how guidance is provided to our students, how a counselor can proceed when giving guidance and counseling to students in a school setting. Strategies for solving problem and interventions 4.2, and then in 4.3 we will discuss about the tools of guidance and counseling. And in tools of guidance and counseling we have four tools basically. These tools include observation, interview, questionnaire, and case study. These four tools are there. Now, likewise, techniques of guidance and counseling. We have three techniques: directive, non directive, and elective. Basically, this unit will talk about the process, and procedure of providing guidance and counseling. Whereas in the previous class, we had studied about theories of guidance and counseling, and these theories provide a foundation for our practical work. And in these theories, we had studied about behavioral, cognitive, humanistic, psychoanalytic, systematic, and holistic approach. We had studied about these approaches in the previous class, and hopefully you would have gone through different books and reading materials to enrich yourself further. So now we'll go further towards the process and procedure of providing guidance and counseling in a school setting. Although a teacher is not a professional counselor or it is not professional guide, but as I have told you in the previous class, the teacher must be sufficiently equipped, teacher should be sufficiently knowledgeable, and teachers should have sufficient skills so that he could guide his students in a school in the absence of counseling and guidance facility. Guidance and counseling, our focus is our individuals. Individual is a focus. A person to whom we are giving counseling, he or she is our focus. And our focus is to solve his problem, to provide him information. And for that purpose, first of all, we try to diagnose, we try to find the existing information. And a counselor uses various techniques and tools and follow different approaches. These approaches and techniques include maintenance of record and application of different testing technique and non-testing techniques. Both things are applied when we are providing guidance and counseling to our students. As you know that guidance and counseling is very much important to solve students' day-to-day problems. And in guidance and counseling, practitioners maintain records of their clients. They are professionals, but for a teacher, it will be a little bit difficult and tricky. But teacher must have previous information and must keep in mind the previous data and information of a student. And as far as professionals are concerned, they are very much professional and they keep the record of their each client, their each client. Their record is kept by the counselors. Such records consist of data about the client, referral information, data and type of services provided along with the fee, and various informations are there. Uh, because they have, as in hospitals, you have seen that each patient has its own personalized file. Likewise, in counseling also, if a school counselor is there and providing counseling in a school setting, he or she will also maintain information about the students. But if a teacher is providing guidance and counseling to the students, it is not practical, or it is not even possible for a teacher to keep record of each and every student, because teachers are not professional counselors and professional guides. They are just uh, performing as a counselor and as a guide, and they are taking the responsibility of providing guidance and counseling. And what type of records they have as the professional counselor? If we'll talk about professional counselors, what type of record they have a cumulative record folders, report sheets and records. And cumulative record means total record, the record that contain the most of the information about the client. And if there is a school counselor in a school, then contain all information, previous information about the student's problem or that they faced. The basically cumulative record is just like an anecdotal record. They have detailed information. Likewise, they have transcript of a students, they have health record of a student in their folder. These all records are kept by a professional school counselor. Just likewise, attendance record and application and use of a school record. Uh, Now, what is the application and use of a school record? The school record maintained by the school counselor can be reliably used for the following purpose. A school record gives necessary information about the student's performance progress, and also it will enable a counselor to provide better counseling to a teacher because to a client. In the presence of previous record, a counselor is in a better position to provide evidence-based counseling to his client or his or to a student in a school. Otherwise, if a teacher doesn't know the history of a student and he or she hasn't any record of the student previous record, then it will be the counseling or guidance will not be based on any evidence. It will be just an idea or conjecture of mind, not more than that. Likewise, now we will go to the testing techniques. That is most important point that is to be covered. As I've told you that there are non-testing and testing technique. Two types of techniques are used when we are providing counseling to our students. And professional counselors, they have a variety and a long list of testing techniques. And before applying a test, they have some criteria. That criteria includes choice of or selection of a test, then administration of test, then scoring of a test. We'll study in for next few minutes about the test, but here that how the test will be used, then interpreting test, communicating test results with the client or with the students. Now there are various types of test. In such type of test, some one of them is psychological test. And psychological testing, as the name clearly identifies, it can be an intelligence test, it can be an emotional assessment test, it can be aptitude test, any test that is related to cognition of a person, any test related to mind, because psychology is the study of mind and functioning of mind. Then such type of tests can be applied and are applied by the professional counselors. But as far as teacher is concerned, a teacher must know about different tests, not necessarily. Some of the tests can be applied by teacher as well. These tests, as I've told you, that intelligence test, test of abilities, test of interest, test of personality, test of achievement. As far as test, the most commonly the test that a teacher uses in the class, that is basically test of achievement. Achievement means whatever student have learned. Likewise, as far as test of interest is concerned, like other tests are concerned, these tests are basically standardized tests. Already ready-made tests are available with the uh, counselors and guides, and these tests can be applied to assess in order to use testing techniques. These tests will help a counselor to diagnose, to know about the client, about the students, so that A counselor can provide better counseling, better understanding about the problem as well. Because as you know that if a counselor has a better understanding of his client, of a student, then he will be in a better position to provide uh, guidance and counseling to his students. Now we'll come to that how what is the importance of these tests, and what is the characteristics of a good test. The two characteristics are very much important. Whatever the test we are applying, the test must be reliable and test must be valid. Reliable means dependable and valid means suitable. A test should be dependable, a test should be suitable. Likewise, there should be consistency in the test, means the reliability should be there, and test should be appropriate as far as the age of the student is concerned, as far as the problem of the students is concerned. It should be appropriate according to the need. Then that test will be called a valid or appropriate test. Now we'll come to the intelligence test. There are a number of intelligence tests that are used. These are available, ready-made tests are available, and counselor and guides and psychologists, they apply these psychological tests to assess the intelligence of their client, of the student, just to understand their client problem, or just to help them in a proper way. In As you know that intelligence tests, it include for linguistic intelligence, logical and mathematical intelligence, because there is a theory of multiple intelligence. This theory was proposed by a very famous psychologist, Gardner. This theory is called Gardner's theory of multiple intelligence. According to this theory, there are a list of intelligences that uh, a person uh, a person have, and any person can have multiple intelligences: linguistic intelligence, logical intelligence, special intelligence, and musical intelligence, as kinesthetic intelligence. These are the intelligence, and each intelligence has different tests to assess the what type of intelligence person has, and what is the level of that intelligence a person possesses. The oldest intelligence test that was first developed by basically education psychologist, he was Alfred Binet and Simon. These were the two person who had been given responsibility to develop a scale, develop a tool to assess the intelligence of people. They developed a test and it was revised later on, and this test is called Binet-Simon scale, and this is basically a test to measure the intelligence of people with very much accuracy. Now there are other tests are also in use. There are a list of tests, but the oldest, the most famous one is Binet-Simon scale to measure the intelligence of a person. And these tests include different types of activities, different type of activities. Uh, that is low regard. Low regard, that is a French word, means to view, to see something, a visualization of something, like it has provoked by the art, tactile stimulus, rehension, and likewise visual perception, recognition of food. Likewise, there are verbal knowledge of object, verbal knowledge about the picture, and naming of designated objects. There is a list of components of a intelligence test that had been used by Alfred Binet. And if you will visit different websites, you will find a lot of information. And these are the list of the components that is included in the intelligence test when we are assessing the intelligence of any person. Then there is another test that had been developed in 1916. This test is basically called Stanford Binet scale, and the first one was Binet-Simon scale. These were the two psychologists who developed the test. This is the second intelligence test, Stanford Binet. This is a basically revision of Beneciman scale. It is a more improved version of Beneciman scales. This is called Stanford Binet scale. The spelling of it is Binet when we write, but this is a French name, and when we pronounce it, it will Binet. It not Binet. Stanford Binet scale, and then basically this test had been developed to assess the IQ of a person. The IQ is basically it is a score. It is a score. It is a ratio. It is a coefficient, intelligent quotient that is calculated by dividing uh, chronological age divided by mental age multiplied by 100. Then we'll get the the IQ of a person. Chronological age, basically the age that starts from our date of birth. A person who born in suppose 2000, now it is 2020. Now the chronological his or her chronological age is 20 years. And as far as mental age is concerned, mental age is calculated through and it is measured through Stanford Binet scale. And then whatever the results that we get, we divide that mental uh, age score with the chronological age, and then the whatever the value comes, that is called IQ of a person. IQ is basically the measurement of intelligence. There is a very simple formula, but there is a long test for to assess the mental age of a person. Then there are other tests also. Bachelor Adult Intelligence Scale. This is a scale developed by Bachelor. Bachelor again, he was an American psychologist, and he gave a test to assess the intelligence of adult people. And this test consists of different components again: verbal comprehension, perceptual reasoning, and working memory index, and other part. These are and these all tests have different uses and different implications. Now we'll come to this why I'm telling you about different type of tests, just for the sake of your information and to broaden your horizon of knowledge, that there exist a number of tests in the field of psychology, particularly such psychological testing. And then we come to the next component. Bachelor developed another scale that is called Bachelor Primary and Preschool Scale of Intelligence. In 1967, the first scale he developed, that was the Bachelor uh, scale of intelligence for adults, and then he developed for children as well and for kids as well. And in that test, he included the information about the block designs, information, and metric reasoning. That were that this test had been designed for the preschoolers and primary school children. Because of that reason, this test had more physical and observation based rather than information based. Likewise, this test include different type of activities. These activities include bug search, picture memory, similarities, picture concept, cancellation, zoo location, object of assembly, vocabulary, animal coding, comprehension. Just like as when you are a child, you have seen that a picture is given in a newspaper and they told that what is the different, two pictures are given to a child, and they are asked that what is the difference between two pictures. वो आपने छोट बचपन में एक एक्टिविटी भी देखी होगी बच्चों की कहानियों में और अखबारात में आता था कि फर्क बताइए दोनों तस्वीरों में. तो जो जितना ज़्यादा इंटेलिजेंट होगा वो उतना ज़्यादा जल्दी उन तस्वीरों को स्टडी करके they can find out the difference between two given pictures. Likewise, there is a long list of questions, a long list of activities that is given in these tests. just to assess the intelligence of people. Now, there is a example also given for you to further study. I will share with you this document and this handout just to study and just to go through that. Now, achievement test. Achievement test basically, there are two types of tests that we conduct in class, that is formative and summative. As you know that summative tests are those tests and those exams and that assessment that is conducted at the end of the class, at the end of the program, at the end of the session, at the end of the semester, at the end of the year. That is called summative. Basically, in summative test and summative assessment, we sum up whole uh, knowledge gained, whole achievement of the students. And like formative assessment is a continuous assessment, the day-to-day test in the classroom, day-to-day activities in the classroom, whatever teacher is asking in the class, assessing in the class, that is basically related to the formative assessment. There are, in achievement test we have two types of formative and summative. Summative comes at the end of the session. Annual examinations and semester examinations are the best examples of summative test. And as far as a formative test is concerned, classroom test, weekly test, monthly test, these are tests are the examples of formative tests. And formative and test can be written and it can be oral as well. Suppose a teacher is uh, have given an assignment for oral presentation or oral narration of anything or narration of anything, that is basically that is called formative assessment. Formative assessment is very much important in education because summative assessment is based on formative assessment. If a student is good in formative assessment, there is a higher chance that he'll perform in uh, better in formative assessment as well. Now there are other tests as also. uh, this test is basically is a readiness test that is called, and this its other name is prognostic test, just to assess the readiness of a student at the time of suppose a person, suppose a student is enrolled in class 10th. I want to check that if he can learn the mathematics. I will assess his previous fundamental knowledge about the mathematics. I'm assessing basically his readiness for the subject. Likewise, uh, the previous knowledge, the existing knowledge that a student has, basically that it will related to the readiness of a student. Either they are ready for to learn class 10th mathematics or not, it will depend upon the previous knowledge of a student. If a student he doesn't know, uh, haven't sufficient skills to solve a mathematical problem for class 8th or 7th, then there is a most chance that he will not be able to understand the mathematics of class 10th or grade 10. Now we'll come to the diagnostic test. Diagnostic, as the name present, diagnostic means to understand the weak areas, the problems where the student is facing. Diagnose, diagnosis is basically to find out weaknesses or weaknesses and strengths as well, to find out the wherever the students needs help so that student could be guided. Until yet we have learned about achievement test, and achievement test we have learned about four types of tests: formative, summative, prognostic and diagnostic test. These tests are conducted by teacher to guide his students, to give counseling to his students. Suppose a student is facing a problem, at a 10th class a student is facing a problem in mathematics, then you will conduct a uh, diagnostic test to find out why he is facing problem, where are his weaknesses. Likewise, a student is very much interested to opt for the engineering domain in college. Now you will conduct a prognostic test just to find out that if is it possible for him, is he ready to, will he be successful in engineering domain if he has sufficient knowledge and skills about mathematics and physics. then there is a more chance that he will be very much successful in engineering field. If a student very much weak, he has haven't a strong aptitude in mathematics or physics, then there is a less chance that he'll be a successful student in engineering field. Likewise, a student who want to be an artist, and if you are conducting his readiness test, you want to see his skills in art and aesthetic aspects. If he is very good in art, then you will certainly you can guide him, you can predict for his success. If a student is not good in art, he cannot make very good drawings, and cannot produce a piece of art at early age, then certainly he will not be able to be a successful artist in future as well. The readiness test basically tells about the either that person is suitable for that field or not, and diagnostic test helps us to find out the weak areas of student. These are the techniques that we use to assess, and these techniques are used by teachers in your school, had been used by your teachers in schools as well. These are the simple techniques that a teacher apply. Then we have test to assess the interest of a student. And interest basically it refers to the activities in which students is very much happy and enjoy that activities and like that activities, that shows its interest in any subject, in any domain, wherever a student feels feel relaxed, enjoys the any subject in which a student enjoys a subject, or he is very much enthusiastic to learn. It means he has or she has very much interest in that subject. Suppose a student says that मिस मुझे ये सब्जेक्ट बड़ा बोरिंग लगता है, मुझे इस सब्जेक्ट से नफरत है, इट मीन्स they in that field a student haven't so much interest. Interest basically through the achievement test we can know about the interest. Through the observation we can know about the interest of a student, that in which students are interesting. Likewise, through conducting interviews of student, we can know about the interest of a student. Likewise, aptitude is basically natural tendency, natural ability, that is god gifted according to the Gardner's multiple intelligence theory, that uh, every person has multiple a range of intelligences, and some of intelligences are very high. Some of students are very intelligent in communication, some of students are very intelligent in mathematics, some students are very much in kinesthetically very much smart and intelligent. So our aptitude test actually, this is a prognostic test. This test find the readiness and tendency of a person, that either this person will be successful in that field or not. Uh, these ability tests basically are conducted by the professional institutions when they are giving admission to their students, just to know that either their students have sufficient tendency, sufficient power, thrust, aptitude, ability, that they can go through that course and they can successfully complete that particular professional degree. And those students who have aptitude in a particular field, they are given admission, and those students who haven't any aptitude in that field, they are denied for admission. Now basically these are the examples just to assess the aptitude of a student. These are the basically assessment of their different skills. These skills include verbal reasoning, numerical ability, abstract reasoning, mechanical reasoning. From such type of components, a person who is performing better in particular domain, it shows that he has aptitude in that domain. But if a student is not performing well in a certain domain, will find reach at the conclusion that he is not well, he is haven't an aptitude. Suppose if a student is well performing in numerical ability, It means this student very good to be a project manager, bookkeeper, statistician, and in the field of engineering and likewise. If a student is good in abstract reasoning, his aptitude is toward skilled trade, computer programming, drafting, auto repairs. If a student is very good in mechanical reasoning, he can be very good mechanic. He could be very good mechanical engineering or mechanical diploma holder, or he can be a maintenance worker or assembler or carpenter or just like that. The, the ability aptitude of person depicts his success in a particular field in future. The more aptitude has a person has, the more chance of his success is there. Okay, now we'll come to the further examples. Aptitude test, as I've told you that these are the examples of different aptitude tests. And likewise personality test. The personality test basically it is conducted to study up traits and characteristics of a particular person that our individual possesses. Personality, what is the personality? Personality is basically the appearance of a person, that in appearance all components are included. Either these components are physical or abstract. Just like in personality test we study the person's behavior, that is also part of personality. Likewise, uh, appearance of a person, from his clothing, from his talking, speaking, from his walking, all components collectively makes a personality of a person. Personality, whatever a person shows off, and how a person behaves, how a person presents himself, how a person project himself in social circumstances, that is his personality basically. Personality is very different from the character. Character is basically hidden part of the personality. Whatever inside of a person, that is called his character, and what is visible, that is called his personality. And character is very hard to study. Character, because character is a hidden part, it is very difficult to explore. But with the passage of time, with a deep study, we can find out the character of a person as well. But as you know that human being is not doesn't have a human being doesn't have consistent personality, or consistent in his attitude. Because of that reason, it is a little bit difficult to study the character of any person. Now there are various questionnaire, various types of tests and tools that are used to study the personality of a person. These tools include some question papers, observations, and discussions and interviews. Likewise, there is another test that is basically we study to sociality of a person, that is called sociometry of a person. Sociometric test, that is called sociometric test. In sociometric test, basically we study how social that person is. The person who has more friends, more likes in the classroom, he will called more social, and he has high sociometry. Whereas the person who is not liked by the classroom fellows, he is not so social. Now there are other techniques also, non-testing techniques. We will cover these techniques tomorrow in next class. Non-testing techniques includes those in which we doesn't conduct any test, just we make interview, we conduct a case study, we make observations. Your class time is over. I will share the content with you, and hopefully, and you will go through this content, and tomorrow we'll have a discussion. Stay blessed. Thank you. Allah Hafiz.